about the intimacy of the project, which when I first saw this this summer, I saw it alone in a screening room. I think I was one of the like, what is this gonna be like people, right? And obviously I was just blown away, but what struck me closest in the heart was the intimacy of that. So I was gonna ask you, what was it like? What was the challenge embracing a character once you started to fully embrace her that was part of such an intimate memory of another person and this person being your director?
Yeah, my director's mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, there were lots of challenges. To begin with, the fact that we didn't have the screenplay, which at the end turned out to be a blessing for acting, because we really could embrace our character's journey as if it was real life. It was like immersing in a real life experience. And the other challenge that I had is that I was the one of the few actors with previous experience. We were working with first-time actors, and this was really, at the beginning, it was difficult for me to approach acting the way they did, because it was me that had to go to where they were, not them to where I was. So we worked a lot with Alfonso in that. But when we finally accomplished that and could just go leave it in the past and start living Sophia's life, it happened what you just said. It was a real contact with my own experiences, my own memories, and my own intimate relationship with my mom and with my own motherhood and me as a daughter. Of course, this was Sofia, it was Cristina, Alfonso's mother, and he told me all about her experiences, but then he said, just let that go and just surrender to that experience of Sofia. And I know you have it within you. I know you do. So it was trusting that what he knew was right.
Was there a rehearsal period, or was that developed?
Well, there was mostly no rehearsals. He would do all his cinematographer work with us not there. So when we came on set, he could finally just be a director. He had all the rest figured out. So he didn't want us to rehearse, because he didn't want anything mechanic in the way we were working. Not even to be the awareness of the camera. So he would all the time like play tricks on us and make unexpected things happen. So we would never like be comfortable and knowing what was going to happen. So he kept changing, and sometimes we didn't even know what the other character was going to say. We knew our lines, but not what they were answering to. So life could emerge.
So Alfonso was the director, he was the writer, in as much as you had his writing at the time. He was also the cinematographer. And so that was my question to you, or to you both. Especially as a producer, what scared you the most, right? Like, that you're putting, obviously you have faith in Alfonso, you've worked with him for over a decade, but taking on all of those challenges and telling a hyper-personal story in this manner, what was the most daunting for you?
I think everything was very daunting. I've worked with Alfonso for 14 years, but I started as his personal assistant, and I've sort of grown with him in my career. So everything I know, he's taught me, so if I mess up, it's all on him. That's what I tell him at the end of the day. But firstly, I'm incredibly grateful that he trusted me, that this was a project that I was ready to embrace as a producer, and that he had enough faith in me and Nicolas Celis, my co-producer, who's based in Mexico, and sort of between the two of us, he really did trust us to, I guess, run the show in a way. And Alfonso has always been very good at sort of the bigger picture, like producing in that sense. He's really good, and there are times where he calls a shot, obviously not only as a director and cinematographer and everything else, but we did have to call that card. Like, I need you to be a producer now and put your director and cinematographer head around, out of it, because to me actually, I think that as a producer, having the director and the cinematographer being the same one, that was harder than having like all the other roles that he was playing. Because and it was the first time he was embracing the role as cinematographer. And in my experience with him, I've always had Chivo there, who is also a force to be reckoned with, but you know, in a different way. And between the two of them, they have a language and understanding that I'm very accustomed to. So having Alfonso DP himself as a director was a little bit nerve-wracking. He did manage, like Marina was saying, that we found a dynamic where he would rehearse like his sort of camera movements and lighting and everything with stand-ins and everything else, so that he could become a director the minute actors came on set and just sort of embrace that role.
So talk about the atmosphere on set a little bit, especially perhaps, or maybe in two types of scenarios. So the intimacy of the home, but then also some of those larger tableau scenes. And what was it like? Were you, I mean, in many cases you were the only, let's say, trained actor on set. What was it like when everything started moving and all of the pieces kind of came together? What was the atmosphere like?
Well, it was mostly like, like we really were a family, because we spent a lot of time waiting in another house that was pretty much like the one we were filming in, with one bathroom only. We were sharing all. Now I know this. Now I just realized that was on purpose, you know, because the kids will come from school and do their homework there. Even the dog was there with us. So with the kitchen. So when we came on set, there was a dynamic that we had. Of course, we had like to work, and there's some scenes that we did like 64 times, and there are others that we did like 3 or 4. I mean, he knew it when he had it, and this could mean, yeah.
So how many times did you have to park the car? The Galaxy. That was amazing.
Coming in the house,
work,
it was incredible. It was quite a few times, maybe, I don't know, 7, 6.
No, but give yourself credit. The first time, like Alfonso hadn't explained to her that she needed to like really mess it up, and she's a really good driver. So she's like, you know, she practiced in the car around the street first. Like, I know how to do this. So Alfonso's like, okay, go for it, thinking, you know, this woman will never get the car in, right? And she went straight down the middle, perfect. And he's like, yeah. So she had to practice to get it wrong.
But it was really liberating to do it. I mean, for Sophia and for me, for both of us. But it was incredible to do it, and I just take it out, and then they will rebuild the wall, and we will do it again. Yeah.
How many was it one Galaxy or?
We had 2, right? We had 2.
It was a little bit
She
heartbreaking.
crashes it a lot of times.
No, it's truly remarkable, and again, those scenes where, I mean, there's just sometimes you realize you're looking in one part of the frame, but there's 3 or 4 other stories happening in other parts. How aware were you as you were working that there was, in some cases, so much happening around you?
I was not aware at all. That's something I experienced when I saw the film. I think during all the time we were filming, I just was like really like this with my character and with what she was going through. Really like holding it inside. So I could sense, like I could see there were other actors there, and he was really careful with the extras, extremely, right? And I knew that all that was going on, but I was like really into the emotional process of Sophia. So when I saw the film, I was amazed of all the layers of everything that's going on. I mean, really, for me, it was like discovering the film when I saw it.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the different worlds that exist within the film, and the first being, of course, the worlds of women and children together, and then together alone. This amazing moment where Sophia tells Cleo, you know, we'll always be alone, but they're alone together. So maybe talk about that process and working with a man who's translating this experience of 2 women, you know, and how that relationship. What was the feedback that you gave to Alfonso as well?
He built the relationship between Sophia and Cleo every day. You see, it's a very complex relationship. we can't describe it with one word, because it's employer-employee relationship. It's also a very intimate, familiar, loving, I mean, everything is going on there. She's even also the one that's always there, so she throws at her frustration because she's the silent witness of her sorrow. So it's really, really, really complex relationship. And he since we didn't have the screenplay, he was like building, and I was like realizing. So at the end, at the scene at the beach, Sofia finally realizes that that Cleo is her accomplice for life. But that's like built from the beginning.